It's the most wonderful time of the year. Yeah, I know I can't sing for shit, but Merry Christmas. This is the special you've been waiting for. And again, I'm not alone. Just like Halloween, you're getting another holiday season list. However, disclaimers first. This list will not feature your typical Christmas movie. We tried to think a little and included as many different genres as possible. But yes, we do have one heartfelt movie on that list. And now let's introduce my co-host, the one and only Sebastian Vandal Martinez from Sci-Fi-Night.
Hey buddy, thanks for your introduction. It's nice to be back. Hello to all of our viewers and welcome to another top 5 list. This one is centered around Christmas movies, which admittedly is neither sci-fi or horror, which is what I tend to do, but there's enough odd entries on this list to justify it on my behalf anyway.
Hold on a second, that's not the Sci-Fi Night I know. What happened to your background? What happened to the green screen effects and all of it? I mean, come on.
Alright, yeah, I figure we might as well talk about the elephant in the room. Well, we kind of had a Sci-Fi Night Christmas party in Las Vegas. Things got a little out of hand. People got a little bit drunk and may have gambled away some of our equipment, including the shirt off my back, which at the time was the Sci-Fi Night shirt, so we gotta get another one of those. But, yeah, don't worry, we're gonna be back to some of our normal formatted shows as well. Just in a little while, we're actually gonna have an update on that coming up on our channel shortly. Before we get started with the official list, we're going to kick off this video with an honorable mention, which goes to the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, Jingle All the Way. Yeah, so this little gem is about the Terminator trying to find the perfect toy for his son.
Are you an angel? What? An angel.
And it's just about as silly as it sounds. I mean, it's still kind of good in a way.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
Okay, no, it's not really good at all. It is pretty stupid and it is pretty bad, but it's got some of that good bad charm that some nice B movies have, but just make it overall enjoyable. I mean, you gotta take it for what it is as well. I mean, it's got Arnold Schwarzenegger in a factory fight club taking on Santa Clauses, him punching a deer in the face, and then later on having a drink with said deer.
You started it.
And let's not forget the Power Rangers-like climax to a film, which is just all kinds of silly. Anyway, I mean, it's stupid, but it's fun, and it's very Christmassy, and let's face it, there aren't that many Christmas movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger around, so I guess this is your only choice.
Put that cookie down! Now!
Alright, well there you go, and it's not even on the actual list, okay? So, you know, it's kind of a shitty movie, but take it for what it is. Or, I don't know, what do you say, Joseph Ari?
First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone that still stuck around after being exposed to footage from Jingle All the Way. I mean, in all honesty, put that cookie down now! Arnold being a sort of Power Ranger fighting for a toy to help little Anakin Skywalker have the perfect Christmas ever. It's so horrible that it's funny and entertaining. It does have some entertaining values, believe it or not. This leads me to number 5 of our official list. Krampus. Oh yes, I already feel a million guns being pointed at my face. Because this movie only got mixed reviews this year and I seriously don't get it because this movie, in my opinion, was fantastic. Michael Dorothy, who gave us Trick or Treat before, now directed a Christmas-themed horror comedy. And in my opinion, it hit all the right notes. First of all, this movie provides us with the 3 H's. Humor, horror and heart. Yes, it's sort of a mix between Home Alone and Gremlins. And that's another thing. We have practical effects. All the creatures in this movie, well, most of the creatures in this movie are practical, are props. We have a terrific costume design. This movie is a mix between National Lampoon's Christmas Special, Home Alone, Gremlins, and Home Invasion movie. I mean, how can this not be on this list?
You know, I gotta say, just like with your recommendation of Trick or Treat, Krampus is a great choice. And honestly, I think it might be a bit of a modern classic. It's got a really great old school feel that some of the classics out there like Gremlins had. I mean, yeah, it's dark, but it's also pretty funny, and it's just got so much charm to it that I can't help but love it. Anyway, that brings us to the number 4 spot on the list, which goes to the 1990 film Home Alone. In this film, Macaulay Culkin gets, as the title suggests, left home alone while his family is away on Christmas break. So he has a place to himself, which seems fine and good in the beginning, but when a couple of burglars set their sights on his house, he has to step up to save the day.
This is my house. I have to defend it.
So yeah, this film is a little bit silly as well, but it's got so much more heart and charm, as well as genuine talent that went into making the film. Macaulay Culkin is great, as well as the two burglars played by Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci.
Why'd you take your shoes off? Why are you dressed like a chicken?
The best part of the film is by far towards the ending, which kind of turns into Die Hard for kids, with McCulkin having to fend off the burglars. It's a great old school movie that really nails the Christmas spirit, and in the end, what it's all about.
You know, I got a feeling this is going to be your best Christmas ever.
Alright, so yeah, that was the number 4 spot. Joseph Ari, take it away for number 3.
Oh yes, Home Alone is the movie that hits me right in the feels. It's the one movie I have to see every Christmas. It's emotional, but it's also funny. It's a timeless story of a little boy. And yeah, Joe Pesci, he's pretty funny in the movie.
Funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you? I make you laugh? I'm here to fucking amuse you? What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Never mind. Anyways, let's get to the next entry on our list. Number 3. Nightmare Before Christmas. This movie is what I love to call a great holiday classic. And I say holiday for a very specific reason, because you can watch this movie during Christmas Eve, but it's also a perfect Halloween movie. This movie could easily be on your top 5 favorite Christmas movie list and on your top 5 favorite Halloween movie list. The stop motion animation in this film is so amazing. The characters are great. The movie has a surprising amount of heart. It has just the right touch of darkness, as we are used in a Tim Burton themed film. The soundtrack is terrific, and I love the message behind it. If you have not seen Nightmare Before Christmas, be sure to check it out, because it is a classic.
So growing up, Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas was actually one of my favorite movies to watch, not just around the holidays, but just overall. It could very well be his strongest work, and it's overall is one of my favorites, definitely around Christmas as well.
And what did Santa bring you, honey?
Alright, so that brings us to the number 2 spot, which goes to the 1984 classic Gremlins. So in the Joe Dante directed film Gremlins, we get the story of a family getting a hold of the world's cutest pet, a mogwai.
You're kidding.
However, this cute little thing comes with a catch. You can't get it wet, you can't expose it to sunlight, and whatever you do, don't feed it after midnight. Yeah, because that's when shit goes off the rails. Basically, sinister gremlins get spawned from this cute little creature, and they end up wreaking havoc on the town in some surprisingly dark ways for what was actually a PG film when it was first released. So in the film, our hero and Gizmo the Mogwai, of course, have to step up to save the day and the town. This film is also super Christmassy. I mean, obviously it takes place around the holidays. It's got great effects, it's a true classic, and it definitely still holds up today. Alright, so that brings us to the number 1 spot everyone's been waiting for. Take it away, buddy.
Oh yeah, I love Gremlins. My brother showed this movie to me when I was 5 years old. I was pissing my pants. I was scared shitless of those little creatures. But looking back, this movie is a holiday classic. It has it all. It's funny, it has heart, it's also dark like you said, and it is kind of scary. What I love are the practical effects again. And this movie actually has a pretty great sequel, which is actually a parody of the first one. If you haven't seen this, in my opinion, it's one of the most underrated sequels of all time. But now, let's get to number 1. Yeah, with us talking about unconventional Christmas movies, you're already thinking, wait, if that's not on your list yet, it's probably your number 1. And you're right, Die Hard. Die Hard is probably the greatest action movie of all time, but it's also a surprisingly great Christmas movie. I mean, the plot revolves around your average Joe whose marriage is collapsing. His life is just falling apart, and he visits his wife at a party at the Nakatomi Plaza at work in order to do something about it. But then the party gets stormed by the one and only Alan Rickman as German Hans Gruber. You think you have a shot, cowboy? Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. And I'm telling you, Bruce Willis owns the part of John McClane. John McClane is easily the most relatable action hero of all time because he's vulnerable. He is not Mr. Schwarzenegger. He's not Mr. Stallone. He gets pummeled all the time. He is never on top. And he is not one of those guys that gets into this kind of scenario because he chooses to. It's just bad luck. And he's the only one that can solve the situation because everyone in this movie is against him. Yes, we have Walter Peck from Ghostbusters in it. He's a dick again. But yeah, props to Carl Winslow from Family Matters. And what I really love about this movie is the fact that it's also a wonderful Christmas movie because John McClane ends up saving his marriage, the people of the Nakatomi Plaza, and he helps a police officer appreciate the Second Amendment. Yes, I went there.
Alright, so you guys are crazy if you're thinking that I'm going to miss out on the chance to talk about one of my favorite action movies ever. And I truly adore it. So everyone has Christmas traditions, but for me, one that I literally never miss is watching Die Hard. I can go some years without watching some Christmas specials, but Die Hard is one that I always get in there because it's just such a great film, and a surprisingly good Christmas film at that.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
I mean, the direction, the acting, the suspense, the editing, everything is just so well done in this film, and it still holds up today as one of the best action films ever made. For me, it's probably sharing the #1 spot along with Predator, the original, of course. But what's really icing on the cake here is how Bruce Willis just totally owns the role as John McClane.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yeah, there's no way anyone else could have pulled this off the way Willis did, and he just brings us so many classic moments and lines. So yeah, I could probably go on praising this movie for days, but let's just say that much like Joseph Ari said before, the movie is basically about one man's quest to save Christmas from evil terrorists. And really, isn't that the most Christmassy thing of all?
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way.
Yeah, this film's just great. If you haven't seen it, check it out because you missed out big time. Alright, so that about wraps up this top 5 list. Be sure to let us know what your list looks like in the comments below. As always, thanks for having me, Joseph Ari. It was a blast as usual. And to everyone out there, yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers. Or no, wait, sorry. I mean, to everyone out there, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Yep, that sums it up. I hope you enjoyed this top 5 list. Special thanks to Sebastian Vandal Martinez from Sci-Fi-Night to do this list with me yet again. If you have never heard of his channel, please check it out, subscribe to it. Awesome stuff, guys, especially if you're into more unknown films in the realm of sci-fi and horror. Check him out, you will not regret it. Again, I guarantee it. And as usual, thank you guys for watching. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more, well, then just subscribe. Merry Christmas, everyone.